Hi, Zizaran here with yet another build collab for the 327 Keepers of the Flame League, and this is Pohx with the Righteous Fire. Of course, it's Righteous Fire. We're gonna start out with a video of Pohx talking about how the build plays.
Mapping on this character is very simple. Simply turn on your Righteous Fire and start shield charging away. For players who don't want to shield charge, you could also just walk. Just make sure you stutter step every so often so you can trigger your Ramako-san's Light Ascendancy. That would be this one right here. Most of your clear speed is going to come from your Ignite Proliferation alongside your Hinekora Death's Fury located here. For players who want to go extra fast, make sure you're supporting your shield charge with your faster attacks. Use your Frostblink to narrow the gap so you can breach, so you can go further. Frostblink is also used so you can get out of the way of dangerous attacks. When you come across targets who are extra tanky, throw your Fire Trap. Also, don't forget to use your Curse. In this instance, we use Punishment. It makes targets take extra damage when they're on lower life. Righteous Fire unfortunately doesn't have the best single target damage, but have no fear, with our sustain we can tackle down most bosses.
If you find our builds useful for Leagues Art, please consider subscribing and sharing the build. It helps us out a lot. It's just such a super wonderful build because in Breach League especially, there's going to be so much stuff that just the explosions will be really good for. And obviously, it's not an amazing S tier boss killer, but it holds its own. You can get 2 stones with it, and honestly, such a great league starter. I feel like it has like a bit of a cult following just because of how comfy this build is. And Pohx himself is of course league starting this, and already if you can't find something for some reason in the FAQ or the notes or the literal website he has designed for Righteous Fire, then obviously you can always, if you're really struggling, go ask Pohx and he'll be able to help you. But really truly wonderful thing about this build is that it's just so solved and it has such a community around it that anything you need help with, they will be able to help you. You're always going to have a good time with this build. So if you're looking for a solid league starter, this is definitely a great place to start. As normal, we're using Path of Building. It's a third-party software, and we do have a separate video showing how POB works, but also Pohx put a ton of effort in on making sure that it's a system they're used to, with showing very, very easy to not get lost, step by step, and then we are using loadouts as well, so this syncs up skills, items, etc. And speaking of skills, these are also same type of systems, super easy to follow, with that you are not going to be lost with what like gems for what different period in the leveling process you are. He also has a bunch of different notes, really keeping you right at all steps of the way.
For the leveling portion of this build in Act 1, we're going to be using Rolling Magma and Flame Wall. It's very easy. All you have to do is drop the Flame Wall, shoot the Rolling Magma into it, and watch the enemies die to the Ignite. Later on when you get into Act 2, we're going to be able to run Righteous Fire right away. For players who don't like Rolling Magma, consider looking at the Path of Building and running the Holy Flame Totem setup.
And a new feature this time, the notes are now specifically for the different levels. So you can read this part when you're level 1 to 20, read this part for 21 to 40. It is basically a step-by-step guide. You do not get more hand-holding than this. Just guaranteed to have a good time. If you're checking items as well, at pretty much all stages of the build, it's just super easy. It's just like life and resists, which makes it a great build for solo self-found. There's no more like crazy uniques that you need early on before you can go Righteous Fire. It just, you know, it just really is wonderful. So here at a pretty early stage, this is where you start looking at things like Cloak of Flame, obviously super strong item. Physical damage taken is fire damage, and with Chieftain, one of the big powerhouse features of Chieftain is that you get 90 max rest super early on this build. And that makes things like Cloak of Flame really good because you're no longer mitigating your physical damage against your very low armor. You are mitigating it against 90 fire rest. So super strong. Well, 89 at this point, but you do get 90 very early. You do want like a little bit more of a slightly more advanced helmet. So this is an Elder helmet with burning damage and conk. And you can eventually get Essence of Horror on a helmet as well. But you know, even at this stage, nothing super expensive, nothing crazy hard to get. And at this stage, you have 2 million damage and 7k life. So it's super comfy. Maven can be tricky. We're not gonna lie to you. Maven can be hard on this build. But it's just such a wonderful build. Pohx has also put a ton of effort into super endgame. So if you are somebody that wants to make Righteous Fire your entire lifestyle, you want to put all the entire kitchen sink, all your currency into this build, then there is loads of like examples of what perfect items would look like for the build. And as you can see, Pohx also has like loads of extra notes on every item. So loads of information here. So Pohx, first, have you played enough Righteous Fire by now?
I've had a few, run-ins with the skill. Nothing too crazy.
You must have a few thousand hours in just Righteous Fire now.
Maybe a few, maybe like 20 plus level hundreds.
Wow. Okay. So you would know this better than anyone then. What are the pros and cons of Righteous Fire?
So we'll talk about the pros first. You can expect pretty fast map clear on a budget, and to elevate that clear, you're going to want Ignite Proliferation. It's an extremely tanky league starter. You can push 90 max res with a Ruby Flask by the time you're at your first 2 Void Stones. We also achieve block cap with Glancing Blows and get Recovery. You can have pretty decent physical mitigation by using a Cloak of Flame. We've got 5+ endurance charges, huge life regeneration. It's limited on buttons and makes gearing very simple because you simply stack fire resistance to cover your cold and lightning.
The limit on buttons is actually a really good thing. If you know anyone that's disabled or they have their hand any cast or anything like that, or anything like that, anyone that like, or even just like hand pain, Righteous Fire minions are both like two like prime good builds to recommend to people that can't push a lot of buttons. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, super nice. What about the downsides of the build? Like, is there anything the build really struggles with?
Definitely has a few downsides. One of the main things is low single target. The damage doesn't really become too much of an issue until you start hitting your upper red maps and then eventually bosses and guardians. It can scale to be okay, but it's never going to be a really good bosser on the damage front. You've got a slow act 1 because we level as a caster in this guide, and we do use a mule. Thankfully, this only takes about 5-10 minutes to set up, 10 maybe 15 if you're on the slower end, but you do start RFing in Act 2. You've got limited scaling. Other builds are going to hit much higher damage numbers, but have no fear. If you want to gear it, RF is here. It can do all the content, although I don't like to advertise it for Ubers. It also takes time to scale into tier 17 maps. You can get that first clear if you feel really comfortable on dodging and, having a 4-minute fight, but you can scale into that content, but don't expect it to be cheap.
So Pohx, what are some easy mistakes a new player could make when trying this build?
Sometimes people take the wrong fire mastery. You want to make sure that when you're looking at the path of building, you're selecting the right one. It's the life regeneration you get for stacking fire resistance. One of the other issues some people have is they look at their fire resistance and they notice it's capped and the default cap is 75. The fire mastery scales off your total fire res, which means you can actually go up to like 150. It's recommended you want somewhere around like 120 to 150. In the campaign, you can just keep stacking it. Although, when you're finishing the campaign, it's really important to put that emphasis back on your life pool. It's very important you get high sources of life, because not only is it survivability, it's also your base damage for your Righteous Fire. So you want to make sure you start appropriately equipping life gear as you're finishing the campaign.
So for this patch, are there any other options for Ascendancies? Like what about Elementalist?
So Elementalist does have quite a few advantages. If you want to speed through the campaign, and I mean clear that thing as fast as you possibly can, Elementalist Righteous Fire is for you. You get so much upfront power from golems, you get crazy defenses, well not defenses, but regeneration from them. You basically get the whole package of Righteous Fire in golems. Now this does kind of fall off, and when I say fall off, I mean the mobs basically start to catch up to your golem power right around red maps. It's still really good getting in there. It does crazy good damage. Has really big AoE, but unfortunately for me, I love the Chieftain explodes. At the end of the day, you can gear up an Elementalist and you absolutely can make it work, but Chieftain is just a lot more comfortable to me in the higher tier content, and which is where I think it catches back up.
So there you have it, a staple of the PoE community, an absolute beast of a league starter build. And like I said, Pohx is league starting this himself, so make sure you drop by, give him some love. A absolutely wonderful creator, and he's always going to put a lot of effort in to make sure you have a good league start. So go show him some love, and huge thank you to Pohx for doing the collab with me. And yeah, if you guys like these collabs, sub if you like it, but more importantly, try to die less than we do.